fakes in motion to the right. Handoff Dalvin. Up the middle. It's easy. And he's in the end zone. Yes, he is. He's back to pass. Oh, Drew dropped it. Get it, Vikings. Come on. It's a fumble. And Vikings ball. Yes, we got that ball. Looks right. Fade left. End zone. And touchdown. Bonjour, San Francisco. Au revoir, New Orleans Saints.
Divisional round is here. Vikings at Niners, Titans at Ravens. Lamar Jackson sits down with our very own Steve Smith Sr. You can see that on Saturday. J.J. Watt sits down with Willie McGinnis ahead of that game on Sunday. Chiefs welcoming the Texans to town. I will be at Arrowhead for all of the cold and hopefully some history. And Andy Reid trying to write that 12-14 playoff record. This is Good Morning Football. We are presented by the Home Depot, live in New York City, January 10th. My name's Kay. Nate Burleson, Peter Schrager, Kyle Brandt. How are we feeling an hour in about the picks we have to make? Because, I mean, our batting average as the table was 250 last week.
It's really bad. It's not going to be chalk. There's going to be upsets. How do we feel about the upsets? The Titans pick come in from over there on that side of the table. I don't know. I'm just wondering.
Maybe Houston?
Maybe Houston?
Vikings and San Francisco? I don't know. I gotta wait. You got to wait till the third hour. Stick around.
Time for the lead block.
Lead block.
Talk about those Vikings, those Burleson Vikings. They are going to try to keep their momentum going from their win in the Superdome as they face the Niners in the Bay Area on Saturday with a health update on a few of Kirk Cousins' top offensive targets. Here's Tom Pelissero.
Thanks, Kay. Adam Thielen declined to elaborate on his ankle injury, saying only he'll do whatever it takes to play on Saturday against the 49ers. Thielen did not practice on Thursday and officially was listed as questionable. My understanding is the initial prognosis was encouraging for Thielen's chances to be ready, but the team will proceed with caution. Meanwhile, fellow receiver Stephon Diggs returned to practice Thursday after missing 2 days because of the flu and declared himself back. Even if I was 30%, Diggs said, I'd be out there. The Vikings need all the weapons they can get against a 49ers defense that statistically is one of the NFL's best this season in almost every key category and number one against the pass. Asked what he'd tell concerned Vikings fans about their top two receivers potentially being hampered, Thielen said simply, watch the game on Saturday. Back to you, Kay.
Pelissero, love you. Talk to you in a bit. Ian Rappaport joining us now, our NFL Network insider. What can you add about his status Saturday against the Niners?
Well, this all occurred because he actually got cleated in practice a couple days ago and went down in what sounded like a pretty scary scene for the Minnesota Vikings. No one quite knew what to expect. Turned out to be basically a gash on his ankle that knocked Thielen out of practice. He did not practice yesterday. Not really expected to do much, Kay, until it gets to be game time. But they do believe, as Tom Pelissero said, that Thielen is going to play. What we don't know is how he's cut, how these stitches he had in his foot are going to end up holding up during the game. There's a lot of optimism. They're going to prepare all they can. But we may actually see a bloody sock game from Adam Thielen, a real bloody sock game. Not saying anything about any other sport. I'm just saying this is going to be real. And if you ever wonder about a player's toughness, you're probably going to see it on the field this weekend.
And he seemed okay. He joined us the day after that injury, of course, told us about it. We didn't know about it. He candidly decided to disclose that to his friends here at Good Morning Football ahead of this game. So hopefully we see him on the field. As for us here on Good Morning Football, Ian, you're part of our family. You're like the fifth host. Sorry, Will Selva. But it was your birthday yesterday, celebrating the big 4-0.
Hey.
We love you. Happy birthday. I told Julia Stiles that she's going to be sending you some flowers later today.
Every year she does, so this will be another one, and I appreciate it.
I figured. I reminded her. Thank you. Ian, we'll talk to you in a bit. Happy belated to you. Let's continue the talk on Kirk Cousins. Here's a bad stat about him, guys. 1-4 in his career when facing a top 3 pass defense. Niners do, of course, have the league's best pass defense. Niners have had an extra week off. We heard Shanahan talk about that a little bit earlier, about how they handled that first round bye. Vikings are riding momentum, right, and confidence after a huge win against New Orleans. What is it about the Vikings that can be scary and should instill some fear into these Niners and their head coach?
Well, we keep talking about the run game. You know, having Dalvin Cook back is huge, but the passing game is what has anchored this team, and it allows Dalvin Cook to do what he does because teams can't load the box and try to stop Dalvin when you have pass catchers like Rudolph, Thielen, and Diggs. Speaking of Diggs, last weekend, he didn't really do his thing. And even on the sideline, you saw a little bit of frustration. Maybe you wanted the ball. But there's some clips of that game where he's actually mic'd up, and he says, don't feel like you have to force the ball to me. Just play your game. I think the assumption is him throwing his helmet down and playing in frustration is that Diggs he's ornery and he's going to make things uncomfortable on the sideline. No, I think that's just the passion of a player that's competitive. I'll say this, Kirk Cousins, stick to the script. If you stick to the script, that means you don't force the ball to one guy. You make sure you take advantage of Rudolph when you have those one-on-ones, just like in that game ender in overtime. And then Thielen, even though he went off last week and we want to see him go off again because we're big fans, don't force the ball to him. Just take exactly what the defense, just take what they give you like your Halloween trick-or-treating.
Peter, I was at that game, so I was with Steve Smith, and I saw what Diggs was like before the game. He was very high on emotion and energy. If there wasn't a roof on the Superdome, he would have flown right out of it. And then there was the weirdness through the game. You told me this morning that he was mic'd up. We actually have that. I haven't seen this yet. Take a look.
Don't feel like you got to force this. All right? Play your game, all right? Right here. Stay in it, all right?
And that's it. Just don't feel like you have to force it to me. Play your game. Because I think when we're watching it from the outside looking in, and we see a guy slam his helmet, and then there was at one point where they were basically face-to-face, and they're kind of touching each other by the back of the head. You don't know what they're saying. As a fan, we're like, are they arguing? Are they getting into it?
Yeah, sure.
But no, he's going to his quarterback saying, hey, dog, don't force it to me. Just play your game. And how refreshing is that for us to see a wide receiver who sometimes, remember when he had the hood on after the game and he didn't get the ball? We kind of assume that he's a diva. Maybe he's just competitive and he wants to rock. But Kirk Cousins, after apologizing early in the season, going on the podcast, saying I need to get the guys the ball, he's handling it the right way. Regardless of what you might see from your pass catchers, just play your game just like your wide receiver said.
A lot of talk about Diggs and Thielen and Cousins this week, deservedly so, especially with some of the health status up in the air. I think we're forgetting that Saints game in the Dome was won in the first half by the Vikings D-line. Let me tell you what I mean. Danielle Hunter, Everson Griffin were getting after it. I mean, they stuffed the run. They're causing fumbles. This was the real strength. Some of the flashes, Thielen and all that. Before that pass was completed, Thielen down, this is what was going on. This is how the game was won.
Yeah.
And I'll take you behind the curtain. Talking about the show very early in the morning. We're going through some of the Vikings' greatest defensive players. And Peter Schrager, who knows every player on every roster, said, oh, we should talk about 95. And I said, who the hell's 95? Hamilton, our researcher who knows even more. Who's 95? He goes, it's 95. 95 is Efadio Denebo.
Okay.
Efadio Denebo is on a heater right now. Let me tell you a little about this guy. 7th-round pick out of Northwestern a couple years ago. He's bounced around. And he's been bouncing people around 3 sacks and 2 fumble recoveries in the last 4 games. He's one of these guys that emerges at the end of the year, and you're saying, where the hell did Efadio Denebo come from? Well, he came from the A-gap right at your quarterback. Here he is scoring a touchdown against the Bears. A problem, a big problem. So the answer to the question, he just punted it. Afadi, we see you, and I hope Shanahan sees you because you are coming. There's certain guys that are not stars that have breakouts who end up in Disneyland on floats in February. Block, as we're calling him on the show, 95 because he is on one right now. Great player, D-line terrifying.
All this Vikings talk, and Kyle, they're going to be coming.
Efadio Denebo.
They are good. 95 is good.
95.
95 is great. Watch, he's going to have like 7 sacks on Sunday.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan was built for this night. Like 4:30, Saturday, East Coast. This is what Kyle Shanahan's been waiting for. 40 years old. His father is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. His whole entire life, he has been brought up to be a football coach. You think about the different stops on his journey, whether it be early on in Tampa or when he has his father be the head coach. He's the offensive coordinator in Washington. He then goes to Cleveland, leaves Cleveland on his own accord to go to Atlanta, and 28-3 happens. And that follows him every single day. 28-3, 28-3, 28-3. Kyle Shanahan has not coached in a playoff game since 28-3.
That's it.
A Super Bowl defeat that is one of the legendary ones. And this year has been truly a masterpiece on the offensive side of the ball for the 49ers. They don't have an Odell Beckham or an Antonio Brown. And guess what? They didn't want them this offseason when there were lots of talks about that. Instead, they've got Juszczyk and Kittle and Debo and now Emmanuel Sanders. Kyle Shanahan has been waiting for this moment for 40 years. It is finally his first playoff game as a head coach. I think he has the ultimate game plan ready, and everything the Vikings defense brings him, He is a chess master. He'll be one step ahead. I don't think this offense falters, and I don't think this offense fails. I think the 49ers come out humming, and I think this is a Kyle Shanahan masterpiece on Saturday.
I agree because that scar tissue's there. It's crazy that's the last playoff game. It wasn't just a loss. It was a historical loss. You can't let that creep back into your head. What's so fun about watching this 49ers team is that he keeps it wide open. They're loose. They're always loose, and they're fun to watch. Don't tighten up. Don't Sean McVay it in the Super Bowl last year because they weren't themselves. They lost some of that looseness. You can't let 28-3 even be here for a moment. I mean, if you use it to drive you and it drives you forward to win, and that's fine. But there's something about that 28-3 that's going to work against him or with him this week.
Think about the guy across from him. Kirk Cousins had that primetime record in his face. He went into the Superdome, beat the Saints. We don't talk about that this week. Kyle Shanahan beat this Vikings team 28-3. For now, is off to the side.
Stay loose.
Stay loose and stay ahead of the game. Let's think back to September or August. How many people thought the Niners were going to be in this game? I think, honestly, nobody across the country.
Number 2 overall pick in the draft last year. They went from the second worst team in football to the 1 seed in the NFC. Got to finish the job, though. That means nothing if they don't win these games.
It's a hell of a turnaround. And when you keep talking about that epic collapse that he had in the Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator, it's almost like he built this team this year to not be able to make that mistake.
They're running, right?
Because what do we say? How do you have that lead and not run the ball in the second half in the Super Bowl? It seems like the way he's built his team is to get a lead and then keep a lead because you have running backs.
You're right.
It is foolproof until Kirk Cousins come in.
Okay.
Oh, it's going to be really hard
There's
to
some juice for the Vikings at the table today. I just feel it.
I think there's juice everywhere for the Vikings.
I think I have it because what I saw last week, we all saw it. And how could you not rally behind a team that did take it down, maybe the best team that wasn't playing their best at home? I don't know. It's hard to pick against those Vikings even on the road this week. Chiefs, we got to go to the AFC now.
All right, let's go.
Their defense needs to slow down Deshaun Watson. How do they do it? And New York gets its first taste of Joe Judge. Our thoughts next.